Greetings. Welcome again to the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 6, Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. I will first offer prayers to my spiritual master and to our disciplic succession and to the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let us now go to the forest of Naimisharanya, where Sutta Goswami is again speaking this great story, great history of Srimad Bhagavatam, and today about the conversation between Sri Narada and Vyasadeva. Stauvacha evam nishamya bhagavan devasya janma karmacha bhuya prachatam brahmam vyasa satyavati sutta. Sutta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God, the son of Satyavati, inquired as follows. Sri Vyasadeva said, What did you, O Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? So we know Narada's present birth is as Sri Narada Muni. But in his previous birth, he was just the son of a maidservant. So Vyasadeva is asking him, what did you do after you met those great Bhakti Vedantas and received the initiation and received their blessings? What did you do? O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation, and how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter, which happened prior to this day of Brahma, how is it still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? Sri Narada said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman, but a maidservant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with a tie of affection. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Once, upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees, and so thinking, I started for the north. Here he is, only 5 years old. His mother gets bitten by a snake, and he starts to wander in unknown lands. After my departure, I had passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river lake and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. After that, under the shade of a banyan tree, in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the supersoul situated within, using my intelligence, as I had learned from the liberated souls. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared on the lotus of my heart. O Vyasadeva, at that time, being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and the Lord. The transcendental form of the Lord, as it is, satisfies the mind's desire and at once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing that form, I suddenly got up, and being perturbed, as is usual when one loses that which is desirable. I desired to see again that transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness, to view the form again, I could not see him anymore. And thus, dissatisfied, I was very much aggrieved. Seeing my attempts in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief. The Lord spoke, "O Narada, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me at all. O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person. And this is just to increase your desire for me. Because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. By service of the Absolute Truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. Then, that supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him by bowing my head. Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. And so, O Brahmana Vyasadeva, in due course of time, I, who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna, and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with death. Just as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. Just as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. Having been awarded a transcendental body, befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped. At the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead Lord Narayan lie down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him, along with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing. After 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the 3 divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. So Sri Narada, there is no limitations for Sri Narada Muni. He can travel within the spiritual world as well as the 3 aspects of this material world, the heavenly planets, the middle planets, and even the lower planets. We know Narada is famous for visiting all different places within this universe. And thus I travel constantly, singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a veena, which is charged with transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Krishna. the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart, as if called for, as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat, the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. It is true that by practicing restraint of the senses by the yoga system, one can get relief from the disturbances of desire and lust. But this is not sufficient to give satisfaction to the soul. For this satisfaction is derived from devotional service to the personality of Godhead. O Vyasadeva, you are freed from all sins. Thus I have explained my birth and activities for self-realization, as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also. Sutta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Srila Narada Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his Veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. All glory and success to Srila Narada Muni, because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead, and so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purports, I think in this chapter, says that Sri Narada Muni has so kindly appeared on the pages of the Bhagavatam. And we know also that Narada used to visit and to come to take darshan of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, because even Narada was amazed of the great miracle that was performed by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, by bringing this wonderful Krishna consciousness movement to the West and making so many disciples, turning hippies into happies. So we offer our humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Parampara, and especially to Srila Vyasadeva and Sri Narada Muni for bestowing their kind mercy upon us. Radhe Shyam. So now we'll have a little kirtan. Narada Muni bhajai veena radhika ramana name. Narada Muni bhajai veena radhika ramana name. Radha Ramana Hari Bo, Jai Jai 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 Radha Ramana Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe. Bolo Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai Jai Shri Radhe.